how do I bring back the grace of God in my life if I lost it through sexual mistakes?
Well, I don't think that doctrine is right, that you lost the grace of God through sexual mistakes or sexual sin. I know that's what people have been taught, and I've been taught that when you sin, you lose God's grace. It's not as easy as that. It's really not true. God's grace is always available. And the calling and the gifts of God, they are without repentance. Now, that doesn't mean you cannot lose your salvation. You can. But if you sin or you fall or you commit some mistakes, you don't immediately lose your grace or lose your salvation just because you sin. For you to lose your salvation or to lose God's grace, you need to intentionally reject that grace and intentionally walk away from God and intentionally walk into sin. That is when, and then turn your back at God, turn your back at God's grace. But once you turn your face back to God in true repentance and in true brokenness, that grace will just show up like that. It is not by works, you should remember, that we are saved. So what you did not get through works, you cannot lose through works. So if it's not by works you got saved, you will not, ordinary works or actions will not make you to just lose it. No. Grace is grace. That means you didn't deserve it. So you didn't do anything to get it, and you cannot do anything to lose it. But the thing is that you can walk away from it. Let me show you an example of what that is, what I'm talking about. I'm sure most of you can remember the story of the prodigal son. The story of the prodigal son is a perfect example of that. It is not God that rejected him, that, okay, you did something wrong. He actually did something wrong for sure. He turned his back at his father, but his father was right there with him. He turned his back, he did. And then he went to mess, started messing up his life, but the love of the Father, the grace of the Father, the grace of God was always there waiting. God is actually praying. Jesus is interceding at the right hand of the Father every day for you and waiting for you to come back. So don't treat sin as something that makes you to lose your salvation right off. You know, that is one thing we have been taught, and most people have been taught, that has made us to lose so many Christians. And we think, and many people that believe that once I sin, I'm lost, I've backslidden, I've fallen. We lose them, and many people have left the church. Many people are backsliding because of this kind of teachings. They should know that God is not a God that is waiting up there in heaven and just waiting for you to make a mistake and then withdraw his grace, or just hit you and just reject you. What kind of God are you serving? Where do you get that kind of picture of God from? God is totally different. God is relaxed. God is love. Let me remind you that. Hey, relax. God is love first. Come to think about what love is. Love is embrace. Love is acceptance. Love is compassion. Let me tell you something. God says, because he knows our nature, and he knows our, what is the word? Our binding, or our, our frame. He knows our frame, that we are dust. So he understands. God understands more than you could ever imagine. Even me, I think I am a kind of pastor that is understanding, that tries to understand. But I cannot even imagine how God understands. You know, God so much understands your frame. God so much understands your weaknesses. God so much understands beyond what you can understand. Even at the point when you have not even begun to forgive yourself, he has already understood. God is not a tyrant. God is not a dictator. God is not some person just waiting to get it on your back. And no. He gives you first understanding. Number 2, he gives you acceptance. Number 3, he gives you embrace, love, compassion. Never see Never look at sin as something you do that takes you away from him. It should be something you do that takes you to him. If we begin to look at sin as something that takes us away from him, we will only be running away from him and we will become like Cain. But in the New Testament, God is not waiting on you and waiting to keep you in the, and kick you away from the Garden of Eden. No, Jesus has paid the price for you to always be accepted at any time. So every one of us have this vessel, this treasure in earthen vessel. Every one of us. And God made it intentionally that the vessel, the life of God that we have, the treasure, which is the life of God that we have in us, the Spirit of God, the salvation, the grace, is in very fragile vessel. Earthen vessel for a purpose. So that it could be, we could know that it's breakable. We are all breakable. We are all fragile. We could all miss it. We could all be broken anytime. God knows that. And God put it in that earthly vessel intentionally so that you will be broken. You will be breakable. But sometimes the way we present the gospel is that you should not be breakable. You should not make mistakes. You should not misstep. You should not make mistakes. You should not fail. You should just be perfect Christian every time, every day. Well, it's not going to happen. Not to me. I'm not going to be a perfect Christian every day, and nobody else. Not your pastor, not your bishop, not your apostle, not your GO. Nobody else is perfect. He understands that. And it's time for you to begin to understand that. Whenever you miss it, go back to the rock of your salvation. Look to the mountain from where cometh your help. Know one thing for sure. It will be waiting there for you with a big embrace. Not with a big pang in the air to hit you, but with a big embrace. And it will probably be shedding tears of love that you are accepted. Just come back home. Don't go to them pigs. Don't go to those pigs. Don't go to those. Come back home. Those pigs and jackals will treat you bad. But here, you will always be accepted.